Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a Silverline show on Tuesday. I am your host and producer, Tim TK, joined back from the dead, Mr. Quentin Bedwell.
Yes,
Yay!
I am back. Yep. So surgery went well. I'm doing good. Still recovering. So
would you have surgery on, or can you say that on the air?
I don't know if I should, but I'll say my stomach.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been interesting.
Quentin got surgery all over. He's now the $1 million man.
That's right.
Yep.
Is that why I keep hearing that?
Yeah.
That sound. Like whatever. Yeah.
And we also have Jose Fuentes.
Yes, sir.
And
I, for one, am glad to have Quentin back.
I am as well.
Thank you, Jose.
Real hard carrying Tim the entire time you were
gone.
yeah,
it's very yeah. The strain it put on Jose's lower back.
That's right.
We started the show, and then I immediately started getting emails from the Silverline editor, compile emails. So I can't escape the queue. And also Aaron Humphreys.
I'm on the. Wait, we're live again? Well, you
we're
guys keep doing this to me.
Yes. This is. We're having your annual performance review on air.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
it actually be funny to do this to somebody?
Oh, that'd
be annual performance review on air. Yes. Wow, how mean would that be?
Be terrifying. And if you're joining us on Twitch, we have newly set up a robust moderation system. So Twitch chat should be less toxic than before. And I am also behind us. We have our the sponsors that we're all trying to get Del Taco. Del Taco, please mail us tacos.
That's right.
Yes. We even want a coupon to walk in store. Just like if you can, airdrop them, that'd be great. So we are doing our post Turkey Day chill episode. So we're just gonna be talking about more or less how we've been starting the show and what took up the first hour last week, but see how long it goes. Just talking about what we did for the week, but we had a long weekend, so more time to do other things than work on comics. But we'll see how that works. And we do have some light subjects to get to at the end if we do need some content to fill out the back half. But I don't know. Given how good our tangent train went last week, I feel like we'll be fine. So
when you're good at something.
Yeah, exactly. I guess also top of the show. Happy Hanukkah to those who practice. It is day 3, I believe. So hope you're enjoying that.
Yes.
Yes. And we'll start with the man who is now half machine. Quentin, what have you been? You kind of showed us a little bit in the beforehand, but what have you been doing? What have you been ingesting, reading, crafting before for the weekend?
I have barely watched any kind of TV. I had to find things to do, even through the pain that would keep me up and moving around because of blood clots. It's a real thing. So keep that in mind, boys and girls. If you ever have surgery or something, you want to keep moving. You don't want to be staying still a long time. And drawing was out, so no drawing. Because
you gotta learn to run and draw.
Yeah, I mean, I can stand up and draw, but it's not very comfortable. Which I'm doing it tonight a little bit. But so I took up diorama making for my figures, and this is XPS foam. This is a tomb that I'm working on.
Does it open?
No, it doesn't open. You could break it. It'd be open.
Yeah, I almost wonder if you could. Ooh.
This is.
Did you make that?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
XPS
I didn't know you could make stuff.
Nice.
That's just foam?
Yeah. Yeah. It's light as a feather. It's like insulation foam, but I'm going to put Sauron on.
What's on the bottom? Okay, so that's just the foam. Okay, the foam.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Let me put it up to, and it's going to have tiers to it so that I can put additional figures on it. And then I've got a backdrop. So
Ooh, crap.
yeah, so it's pretty elaborate. A lot of dry brushing, and I know it's really dark, but it is supposed to be
How long did it take you to make all
Sauron's.
this?
This is what I've been probably 2 evenings, something like that. It's not very hard.
Yeah.
Did you spray
but
paint them
there's a-
first and then dry brush them, or
No, you cannot spray paint foam. It will
Okay.
melt. It will melt
Mhm.
into goop.
Yep.
Have you ever
Really?
put gas? Have you ever put gas into a foam cup?
no?
It'll totally eat that foam cup, and
Yep.
that's the same way spray paint is. If you put it on foam, so what you have to do is you have to make it, do all the details that you're gonna do, and then you have to seal it with like Mod Podge, give it kind of like a hard layer, and make sure you seal it good. And then you can paint it and spray paint it and stuff. But I don't recommend spray paint it because even though it's sealed, it will still kind of
Yeah.
warp
Make
it
it
a little
look-
bit.
Oh, okay.
Just the fumes gets down below the Mod Podge. So,
So you just with a brush put on a base coat and then add the
yeah, I do
details and stuff.
I always start with black, black mixed with Mod Podge to seal it, and then I go over and dry brush about 3 or 4 times, lighter, or excuse me, dark, lighter,
Mhm.
lightest.
Yep.
And
And you
then
said
if
that
I have any touch-ups, and then I
that
have to
was-
reseal it again,
Oh,
so
Wow.
that way it lasts.
Yeah. We have some of that for our tabletop wargaming group, and yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
all
the
like
same thing people
yeah.
do with terrain building and D&D or Warhammer, and you can use all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
I just ordered this past week some aquarium filters.
Oh yeah.
So that I could have the metal grating for like to stand on.
Yeah.
So I've got 2
Crazy.
other dioramas in the works. So that's what I did.
Now you said that was Sauron's throne?
Yeah, we never see him in a throne. We don't even know if he
Yeah.
sits down or goes to the bathroom. But you know what? I thought, this would look cool.
Yeah.
Do you
I
have a
told my
Sauron's
son I
figure?
was going to put a hole in the throne here. Have it like a potty chair. The
There you
potty chair of doom.
Do you have a Sauron figure to put in there?
Yes, I do. I've got him boxed up right now. He's a Build-A-Figure from Diamond Select Toys. They
Nice.
just put out a line of Lord of the Rings, and he is, I think, 13 inches tall, and he looks amazing. You should look it up. But I have not taken mine out yet because I was going to build dioramas, and
One night your wife's gonna come in and Sauron's on his throne. It's all gonna be like red, black lights and candles. And what are you doing? Talking to my
That's
friend.
right.
Shh, shh.
Yep.
He's
I'm-
ordering me.
Yep, I am getting my stuff together, and eventually I'll do it. I've got one whole shelf done. I've kind of got a little bit of the top, and then I've got a whole other detoff that I'm trying to fix up. So
Okay, so one of these nights we'll have to get another room tour of your room because we've gotten a few, but
yep, I got to clean it.
yeah. Oh, I know that.
I got to
Yeah.
clean it.
Yeah. Okay. How do Aaron? What have you been reading, playing, watching over the long weekend there?
I don't watch or play any of that nerd stuff. I was kidding. I'm all about that nerd stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I finished Code Vein.
Nice.
Nice.
And I've been kind of on this anime game streak because I used to play all the Japanese games when I was a kid. So I went over. I don't know what it is. I tried Outer Worlds, which is I think
Okay.
another. It's not Bethesda. Who is that? That's the guys who make Skyrim
Outer
and
World.
stuff.
Yeah, I'll say, isn't that the one that made
They made Skyrim and they
Okay.
made Fallout. And
That's
Obsidian.
Bethesda. Oh yeah,
Is that-
Obsidian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obsidian. I don't know what it is about those games. Those
wait,
games
what's it called? Outer Rim or Outer World?
It's called Outer Worlds. It's like a side story. They made this kind of almost like this 70s sci-fi thing. And so
Yeah, it's like the same people that made Bio something.
yeah,
What's
for
that
some
game
reason
with
I started playing the
the
game. It
little
just didn't do
sister?
it for me. I don't know. I tried. I don't know. I don't get it. It was like those Skyrim and those games should have everything I want in a game, and yet for some odd reason, about 30 minutes into it, I'm just bored, and I can't. I don't.
I played Skyrim, and then 4 days into playing, I found out I was taking damage, and I don't know why. And then I just kept watching it, and then as the sun went down, the damage
Yeah, yeah.
stopped. I
That
You were a
happened to
evidently
me in
vampire?
turned
Oblivion.
into a vampire.
Yeah.
That happened to me in Oblivion. Yep.
Uh,
I was like, wait,
Maybe I
what?
just need to get more into it. So I switched to a game called Scarlet Nexus, and I've only played 20 minutes of that, and it's I don't know if it's a role playing game or an action game. It's a mix of both. It came
Okay.
out for the PlayStation 5 and then they made it for the PlayStation 4. So I'm like, okay, I'll try that one. I think the biggest thing with games, I love games, but when I look at the hours, how many hours in this? Like 50 hours. Like, I don't have time for that. Get anything shorter. Can I condense it?
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Yeah. Some of these are just like they brought out the remastered Mass Effect. Oh, I love Mass Effect. And I thought to my friends, "You guys going to get it?" I'm like, I don't know if I really want to play those games. Even though they look pretty, I'm like, I think I've done that. That's like hundreds of hours of that. So I'm
Mhm.
done that. I've been reading a comic called Luther Strode. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if I have.
Luther Strode is a, let me see. Oh, it's over there. This guy, there was an independent comic and Image put it out. It was like, I think it was 12 issues long or something, or it might have been, it was a few issues. And the artist for it is kind of a unique artist. He ended up eventually working on like Ghost Rider, like
Okay.
the new one where he made like the initial car when he drove like the car, the muscle car. He worked on that.
Yeah,
And the
Robbie
writer is
Reyes.
doing other stuff. So they kind of broke in the comics with this independent comic called Luther Strode. And it's a pretty thick book. Um, I think it's
There's
18
several of them,
18
evidently.
issues long. But apparently it's about this guy who just he orders some, muscle guide. Like, those things in the back of the comics, like you tired being picked on, you want to be a man, you want to be and you order
Yeah.
he
Okay.
orders that, and after reading and doing what's in the book, he turns into some superhero. Like he trained his body to be like this ultimate, like he could run fast. He's just destroying stuff, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, you actually might like this, Tim. As far as just like
Okay.
you talked about the other about straight up violence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
this
right.
is violence on a whole nother level.
All right.
And and so he just ends up, and then it kind of goes through him like, I'm picked on in school. Now he's like some superhero guy, and there's other people who've read the book he's encountering. So now he has, but it's just like, yeah. And I think
Okay.
it's called the Extraordinary Talents of Luther Strode. Luther Strode is just what it's called, and it's been
Yeah.
out for a few years. But I saw
Okay.
that, and I've been reading that, and I like it. There's a few questions I have. I'm in the middle of the story, but there's a few things of like, well, why is he doing this? Or maybe
Right.
that'll be explained later. As
Sure.
far as artwork and action, the artwork is great. The action is great. I mean, this guy's really good at drawing action and stuff. But yeah, some Image. I think it was not put up by Image. Then Image found it and collected it all. I'll put a few more, and now
Okay.
they have a complete edition that I bought. It's like $50.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, I
Look at
think
that.
if anything, Tim I think would really get in. So I was thinking last time,
For sure.
like, yeah, Tim would really like Luther Strode.
Sounds like it.
So yeah. Other than that, I did see the new Resident Evil movie.
Okay.
You good?
That-
It looked like it was going to follow closely to the game. How was it?
I actually really liked it. I go in with very low expectations, and with Resident Evil, I actually didn't mind the Mila Jovovich movies because I like Mila Jovovich. She's hot. So, me and my girlfriend at the time, she thought she was hot too. She's like, well, we didn't care. I mean, is the movie bad? Yeah, but Mila Jovovich is beating up zombies. What do we care? And
Right.
and so when I went, I've seen a lot of reviews of people like, this movie's really bad and the acting stiff and the dialogue's bad. I'm like, have you ever played the video games? Like, it's all the games. I mean, it's the same thing. So I saw the movie. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much the games. And I really liked it. Connected. It surprised me. I came out liking it much more than I guess I should, according to the internet.
There you go.
But yeah, I thought they did a pretty decent job with it. Whether it'll get a sequel, I don't know. They basically squished game 1 and 2 together, which
You
didn't
know,
bother me.
Okay.
some of these reviewers are really, to me, very whiny. But
Yeah.
I have to say though, they serve a purpose. They are probably the reason why we get the level of content
Mhm.
and products that we have, because they're so whiny. But I'm just thinking sometimes when I watch them, I'm like, man, come on. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, I forgot who it was. It was, I think it was Adam Sessler actually from X-Play. G4, it's a thing again. But even though like he reviews games for a living, he's hated their rating system. He said like it serves a purpose to critique something because there is an objective form of like what is good and bad, but the average person is going to care more about if it's enjoyable or not. And so he said that let the critics do their thing and they will find like the objectively cream of the crop, but what you enjoy.
Exactly. Well, yeah, definitely. I've played a game put out, I want to say it's around 2013, 14, something like that. It was Aliens Colonial Marines.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody ever played that?
Like it. Yeah. Some people
Man, everybody so hated that game. There's load pops and there's all these little, man, my frames are just going down so far. That was a couch co-op game. That right there, I mean, it was awesome because they rarely ever make them. And I didn't think it was that bad. Yeah, there was load pops and there was like some missing frames and stuff, but overall it had a pretty good story. I didn't even notice that stuff. Games glitch all the time, even the best ones. I
know. I mean, you want to talk about glitch? We just talked about Obsidian games. You're bitching about glitches and like Colonial Marines. I mean, trying to play Skyrim. I mean, it still has glitches.
Yeah. In the words of Todd Howard, it just works.
It just does. Yeah.
I mean, that's I haven't really liked Cyberpunk. I thought it was a good game, but I played it on PC, on a high-end PC. So I mean, my performance was not reflective of what people had on like PlayStation. So, but if it runs, it's a great game. But that was a lot of people couldn't enjoy it because of hardware requirements.
Oh yeah, was it that first week crash?
This game is utterly unplayable.
That's the thing that I get taken off the PlayStation Store because it just didn't work for PlayStation.
For some odd reason, yeah. But I've always been one of the person like it's a gameplay hook to me. I played a lot of games that like if the game was bad or good, if there's like the sort of the hook of the game intrigues me and I find it fun, then I just don't care. I know when they brought out like the 3D version of Bionic Commando, everyone hated.
Oh yeah,
I remember I had a friend there like playing it, and I played all the 2D ones. And I remember his wife was like, well, this game got bad reviews. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. And she looked at me, she's like, yeah, but it got bad reviews. And I'm like, I'm not really sure what you're trying to get at. Like, she's almost like, you just need to stop playing this game. What's wrong with you? And I'm just like, I just buy whatever I want because it's my money. Right. That's how it works, free will and all that. Apparently, this was such a revelation to him that it was my friend's wife. His friend told another friend, it's like, yeah, my friend, he just buys whatever he wants. And this was a revelation. Like, he doesn't care about reviews. And he's like, really? And I'm like, how is this such a hard deal? I mean, it's your money. I don't think if you buy a game that's not liked on the internet police are going to show up.
Right. A long time I really like to take reviews in consideration is if I'm going to see a movie in the theater because
that's a little different.
That's like $100 now to go to see a movie.
That's a little different. Yeah.
Or if I'm paying like if there's a game that has popped up on sale or is now on Steam and I don't have anything in my library and like my stoke level is not there to like pre-order it, so I'm like, well, I don't know. Are people enjoying it at least?
Well, the funny thing is when I used to buy a game, I was like, well, I'm going to find a way to enjoy the summer because I paid money. Now with that Game Pass stuff, you just download if you don't like it, whatever. There's like how many more games on Game Pass to play with? So
I will watch video after video just to see if I'm going to like it before I
That's
download
what I do.
Because
I
it takes time to
always
download.
watch videos.
I don't want to wait.
And I just decide, I will not watch a lot of times I won't watch a whole series unless I'm just convinced I'm not going to buy this game.
Right.
And when usually the thing that convinces me I'm not going to buy this game is like, this has over 184 hours of gameplay. I'm like, I got too much to do. I'm not buying this game. I'll watch the videos.
No.
I played every Legend of Zelda, and I skipped Breath of the Wild just in that very fact. I remember I had the game and actually never played it and sold it because I sold the system to my friend. And because it was like 200 hours to do everything. I'm like, I just don't want to start down that road.
You
I'll be
break
at
that
that thing
down into
forever.
2 hours a day, and like 15 years later.
Yeah,
That's what what Cyberpunk got my playthroughs turning into. Because they're like, yeah, like Cyberpunk has up to like 400 hours of gameplay. I finished my playthrough on like just over 40. Like, no, that's good. I don't need any more. That's fine.
Right.
Games overstay their welcome. I can't count how many times I've gotten to games where I'm like, man, this game should have ended 3 levels ago.
Well, my problem is I get maniacal, and if I get into a game, holy moly, I will just, I mean, I will have like swollen dark eyes. I mean, I'll stay up nights just to play it. Diablo 3.
Oh yeah.
Skyrim. Oh my goodness.
Skyrim's a dangerous one. Yeah.
The Skyrim, I just kind of tripped into it, and then I was like, "Oh no!"
Anyone pick up the re-release?
No, I haven't.
How many times did they release that? Like, this is a 6th.
I think this is the 8th time.
Man, I've already bought that game on PlayStation 3, and then when they wouldn't release the DLC for it, I bought an Xbox 360 to get so that's twice I paid for it. Then, because I could mod, I got it on PC.
Yep.
I bought that game 3 times. I am not buying all these other things. And with mods, you can do everything, all these remastered editions and all that stuff. If you got a PC and you have Skyrim on PC, I mean, you don't really need, a remastered version.
Turned all my dragons into Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm running around with the Buster Sword. Yeah.
It's strange enough. I think
I did it.
I accidentally, I put a mess at least over 100, maybe close to 150 hours was the original Neo. And that was... I finished Neo, and those games are addicting. Anything Ninja Theory. And so the DLC came out. I'm like, okay, I'll beat the DLC. Apparently, I was underleveled, which, strange enough, shouldn't be the way most Soulsborne games work. You should still be able to beat it. I was getting slapped down. So, like, we need to get these divine weapons. Okay, what are these? You need to play on a harder difficulty through the game. So I played as much as I could through the game in the harder difficulty. And then you get these weapons, you combine them, and you make divine weapons. And then I finally beat the DLC. But I had fun through that whole game. That's probably one of my cracks. And I bought Neo 2 when it came out. I still haven't played it because I know, like, all the other games will take a back seat when I start Neo 2. So I really had to have, like, there's no game I really want to play right now because I know. So, yeah.
Souls games got me, too. Man,
Mm-hmm.
started with Dark Souls, then I had to go back and play Demon Souls.
Yeah.
I played up through Dark Souls 2 up to a certain point, and I just didn't like it. I don't know.
Dark Souls wasn't made by the same guy. That's because I didn't like Dark Souls.
That's right. They moved to another guy, and then they moved back to Miyazaki after that. But I played Bloodborne.
Yeah.
I did not play Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 3 was really good. I had skipped to 1 and 3.
I was so far out of it by then. I was like, this is gonna just take my life, and I'm just not even. I'll just rather watch a video.
Yeah. It'll. And then of course they have. See, I thought that Elden Ring game is coming out just to the PlayStation.
It looks
5,
good. Yeah.
And now apparently it's coming out to the PlayStation 4, and I'm like, oh, well, crap. I have a PlayStation 4. I gave up on trying to find a PlayStation 5. I'll just wait and buy a PlayStation 6, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. I mean, you try to buy that thing and it's out in seconds, and by the time I even look on Twitter, whatever, it's like 20 hours. Like, I don't care. It's whatever. But like they put out the Demon Souls remake. I really want to play that, but I think I'll wait.
A remake? I haven't heard of this.
They remade Demon Souls. It looks super pretty. And it's exclusive to PlayStation 5. So Demon Souls was my favorite. That was probably my favorite one out of all of them. And I have the PlayStation 3 one, the clunker one. But the new one looks pretty. And so, yeah. I do not need to get into that. But yeah, I've still been watching Seinfeld as far as shows. That just goes. I think it's just a go-to in the background show.
Yeah.
But I did like Resident Evil, and I saw Ghostbusters. Really like Ghostbusters. Really liked Resident Evil. So
I heard good things about the new Ghostbusters. I heard people are liking it. So
yeah, but I think Roland saw it and he really liked it too.
If I didn't have 50 things that I'm trying to play or watch this
Yeah.
next month. I know. Yeah, I probably try to make time for it, but it may just be whenever it's on streaming, I'll eventually watch it type thing.
Yeah, I do a matinee or whatever.
That's how I was with Shang-Chi and what else did I watch?
Oh, Shang-Chi
Something
definitely
else.
came on streaming for free on Disney, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Jose, what have you been taking in over the weekend?
Over the weekend, I wanted to take in more pie than what I took in.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
exciting. I completed below my personal quota, so I feel unaccomplished.
Okay. Okay.
But past that, I just picked up a new comic. Well, new to me anyway. A few of them actually, and I picked up what is it? It's in the wrong spot. So at the con, I went to Southwest Florida Con, and I went there to peddle my wares. I went there with my comic book shop. You know what I mean. He got the table and gave me part of it, and my daughter came with me, and I sold nothing. But my daughter made a killing with her little quick sketches of her YouTube Minecraft people. Like on one end, I was like, "That is crap, man! I work hard to peddle my wares." But on the other end, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a proud dad because she's doing so well."
Right.
That
Like, which
happens.
one's gonna win?
Strangely
But,
enough, the biggest buying power in comic conventions are teenage girls. I
It
never
really
thought,
is.
but it is. Man, if you
I'm
can
gonna start
corner the
having her peddle
teenage
my wares.
market,
Yeah.
But there I got to meet someone that like I respect a lot, and just by like watching some of his videos, the way in his logic on art and stuff like that, his logic on how he attacks his art, really inspired me to want to be a comic book artist. And even after all my family, I felt that my family didn't really support me. My mom did, of course, and my mom was like, you can go do whatever you want, but really couldn't help me in a direction. You know what I mean? So I ended up just like going to a factory right out of high school and helping take care of my family. So it wasn't
yeah.
until I got married that I, got married with my wife Deb, that I, was able to like take the opportunity to go to college or like even be pushed to do it, right? But
Sure.
anyway, I got to meet Dan Fraga, and I'm a
God, that
huge
name
Dan
sounds familiar.
Fraga fan. He's worked with Image doing his own book called Black Flag, and he's done stuff for Rob Liefeld, and he's done stuff. Right now, he's doing stuff for his own book, and I believe he was doing a few stuff for Comicsgate people like Ethan Van Sciver and whatnot.
Okay.
But
Yeah, because
like
I
I started following him when he was in California, and he was doing impromptu ad lib rap verses in his car while he was driving. And from that, and I think when I was younger, I was at Chicago Comic Con, and he did a panel where he's like, "Listen, don't focus all your work on doing comic book work. You know what I mean? You're gonna want something that's gonna actually pay the bills if you want to use your artwork. It's like don't give up your ability to do art, but like definitely like know that there's other venues out there to to take care of your life and your family." But like just that, like, and he kind of had things happen to him and whatnot. But like it inspired me to want to continue and push to be an artist. You know what I mean? But so I got his first comic, like the OG one he got when he worked with Image.
Nice.
So that's his character and his book and whatnot, and he's working on a Kickstarter for to remake it.
what comic is this?
It's called Black Flag.
Oh, he is. Okay, I remember this guy. Did he work in a comic?
I
called
remember
Ninja
that
Boy?
comic because
Yeah.
that front guy looks like Flint from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this Kickstarter up now, or is he bringing
Yeah,
it in?
yeah, it's up now.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not a Kickstarter.
It's kind of
it's
nice to
Indiegogo.
see those guys are still out there, because you always wonder
Yeah.
like what happened to the whole Image '90s guys, and I remember there was a guy Trent Kanuga.
They're
He
all
did a comic
rich.
called Creed.
They're all rich and moved
Creed,
on.
in fact, so Creed is getting some new life breath
It
breathed into
is.
it because it's on Indiegogo, or it's going to be, or it is on Indiegogo.
Yeah.
They did a crossover with Cyberfrog, which I thought was interesting.
Oh,
I haven't
did they?
backed
Because they were kind of came up. I remember when Creed came out, it was Creed and Cyberfrog. I would buy those two comics back in the day. And then I remember the
Yeah.
guy who did Creed kind of vanished. And then I saw online he went, I don't know if he owns his own game company or something, but he went in the game design. And now I think he's coming back more in the comics with Creed. But that's where he
Yeah.
vanished to. So I was like, oh, because I remember him
Well-
being really cool, and then he just kind of vanished. And I was like, where'd you go?
Like I heard the names, like was it Matt Martin and Ethan Van Sciver and Trent Kanuga, because they did stuff for a small press little comic company out of Indiana called Hall of Heroes.
Okay.
And I actually know the guy that well, I mean, we're not good friends, but like I had met and talked and whatnot with the guy that owned Hall of Heroes, and then he ended up turning his garage into a replica, like exterior replica of the Hall of Justice, and turned it into a I think it's like a 2-story comic book museum.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is kind of cool. Yeah, it's always fun to meet people. You're like, hey, you're not dead. Larry Stroman, the guy who did Alien Legion, I'm a huge fan of, and he did X-Men too. He did X Factor when they relaunched his X Factor series, and I loved him. I saw him at convention. I was like, oh, you're still out there, you're still alive and kicking. And every once in a while, he was doing some artwork, I think, for Valiant a little bit. And then he did another Alien Legion comic. I'm like, oh, it's coming back. And I asked him at the convention, you doing any other Alien Legion? I was like, oh, it doesn't look like it. I'm like, no. So I was you at the restaurant. I was like, no. So whatever. But yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
other than that, I'm going over. I have a issue of like a 2-part story of Scarecrow with Sean Gordon Murphy did the artwork for it that I'm about to read. I just picked it up, and I've just been going over some like my old Thors with Walt Simonson's artwork.
Nice.
Just like every so often I like to go through some of my older stuff just to like get a recap in my mind. It's like, okay, how did they do this? You know what I mean? And Walt Simonson, just amazing line work in those Thor pages.
Is he the one doing this series Ragnarok?
Who, Walt Simonson?
Yeah. Who am I? There's a comic book series by an older artist called Ragnarok. Let me see. I've always wanted to read it, but I never can find like issue 1. I always find like issue 3 or volume 3. Ragnarok. Well, yeah.
Oh, I think it's the one where Thor isn't. It doesn't look like Thor. It looks like almost like a zombie or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Ragnarok that's Walt Simonson. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that looked really cool. I need to look. I'm sure he has those collect. I should probably just go on Amazon, and get them. Yeah, Walt Simonson's been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw some other stuff at my comic shop, and I was like, dude, I've got some of these. I need to get the ones you have.
And I think he's still doing the series too.
Ragnarok? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like I heard about it a couple of years ago, and I was like, we were actually given a pinup for it in school by one of our other art teachers. That if we wanted it, we could ink it in for practice and whatnot. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few that also comic series is on my radar of like looking to buy. I have a few. I ended up ordering a bunch of comics from Indie Planet again. I keep digging through Indie Planet because I love independent comics because it's what I do.
Yeah.
So I find things, and I had one order. It was on there for months. So I finally got enough money. I'm like, click, and,
make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. But I'll dig through, and it's just fun because I'm like, oh, and you find some amazing books on there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I'm like, it's not very good. But then you come across some, it's like, why? This guy's doing independent comics? Like, why? Like, this guy's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love doing that.
Other than that, I watched the first the episodes that are out for Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah. I really dug that. What'd you think of it?
It was hilarious.
Yes, yeah.
With the Tracksuit Mafia, just oh my gosh, they were funny in the book, but to like actually hear them talk it out,
yes.
You know what I mean, in the show, just makes me laugh that much more.
They got an appropriate amount of bro in there,
right?
Yeah,
like that's the guy, bro. No, bro, that's the guy, bro.
Yep. Yeah, that's so good.
You can't help but laugh at it.
Yeah. It felt like it was really close to the Matt Fraction, David Is it? Yeah, comic. It was just like right there tonally. I loved it.
I know that I haven't watched that series, but I know like somebody was trying to sue, or there was a big hubbub of people boycotting that show.
Fans are boycotting it because what's his name? Aya is not getting credit or paid for the use, like all the intro credit and outro credit are all, or you know what I mean, all the artwork in that is stylized
Yeah.
to his style,
Yeah.
and he's not getting anything from it.
The funny thing is that
So-
when I read the article about that, I was like,
I
you know,
think-
going like, do you guys know why Image was formed?
Yeah, I think
For this very reason.
yeah, I know.
Right.
But I think Disney finally did pay him at least something for using the style he created for that Hawkeye run. So
Well, they gave him acknowledgement in the
they
credits.
gave him acknowledgement, and I think he actually did finally get like a royalty for
Oh,
it.
did they finally?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
He deserves it,
How
dude.
generous of Disney.
I know. Well, that's something we're talking in our chat, which we may get to the back half if we need more stuff. Is Disney's contracts sometimes not being the best.
Well,
Right.
they just strong arm people. I mean, it was like I remember when I was in college, there was this people that were doing a project for Disney, and this lady was telling me she was a 3D game studio and did a project, and I think they were like halfway done with it or something, pretty decent amount into it, and Disney said just pull the project and either like move it somewhere else,
Yep.
and then but not pay him.
Mhm.
And it's like they were like, well, you can't do this, and Disney's like, what are you gonna do? Sue us? Because
Right.
they'll just drain your bank account with constant repeals. So it's just basically Disney does it all the time, which just strong arms you.
That's what
And
they
it's
did
like-
with the like purchased the entire like cast and crew of Black Widow. Is they all got contracts based off of like initial as initial week theater returns,
Yeah.
and then they push everything to streaming. So everyone who worked on that movie got like lost the majority of their paycheck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Me and my wife were talking about that just today, and we were talking about, you know, when there's healthy competition,
Mhm.
you know, customer service is really good. The customer's always right, and people who work there, when there's other places to go work, you know, employers are really good to them.
Mhm.
But when they're the only game in town,
Yeah, what do they care?
then they're not nice, and they
Yeah.
don't have to be nice, because if you don't like it, you can just
Right.
move out of town or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
That's the thing.
And,
Like if Hulu and Netflix did not exist, I have no doubt in my mind Disney Plus would be like $30 more a month.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I you know, this is and maybe I don't mind Disney because there's a lot of artists, but there is something about that maybe that's why I don't watch as many Disney things in the back of my head, because I don't want to support somebody who strong arms so many artists. And they've talked about like Disney's been good to artists, and I'm like, no.
No,
But
I
they
don't
haven't.
know where they keep getting that from.
They're good to artists when the artist has a really big following and there's a lot of eyes on them.
Yes.
Yep.
But if it's something like David Ayo, where like the only people who really like are super familiar with his work are comics nerds or other comics people,
Yeah.
they're like, we're just going to take his entire style, just kind of copy paste, and
Yeah,
they're looking at us. We'll send them a check, I guess.
I remember they for I was just a funny story. Mike Mignola, who does Hellboy, they did that Atlantis movie based on Mike Mignola's style. And I remember he said one day he's like, yeah, I answered the phone and they're like, this is Disney or whatever. And he said that my first thought was, how did you get this number? And which I think is kind of funny, but and I don't think he got any compensation. He was just like, no, they just like, we want to do stuff in your style. And it's like, why? What, you know? This strangely, I always liked Don Bluth because I grew up a lot with Don Bluth stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of the underdog who left Disney. But there's something about Disney that just, maybe this is why like I don't get into the Marvel stuff. It's okay, but it's just very, Disney's a bully. I don't like bullies.
Yeah.
And I wish they weren't. Old Disney wasn't like that. They used to do some really innovative stuff like Tron and other stuff, but modern Disney just so corporate, and they're just, yeah. It's kind of like when you watch your favorite movie, you know, the actor's like, you know, some horrible person who's the lead actor, and you can't get it. Disney's kind of the same way for me sometimes.
Talking about Russell Crowe?
Yeah, but I wish
I love
I could
stuff.
be one of those people that can separate that stuff, but I think being an artist and knowing how hard it is, and then seeing like these corporate guys who are not artists but just a bunch of number crunchers just like pushing us around, it's like, nah, I don't want to really give money to your company anymore.
Right.
That's kind of why. So
Yeah, you see that kind of thing a lot, though. You have the enterprising artist who's very creative or writer, and they're very good at what they do. They're very good at world building, and they can like take an audience and really, really, immerse them in their world and in their art, and they're just awesome at it. But they have no business sense, and then they go to somebody that is just like a psychopath, sociopathic person who sees the dollar signs in the work.
yeah,
And I'm thinking of Steve Jobs.
Uh-huh.
All the people he rode the back of to
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
to the top. I'm thinking of MakerBot. I can't remember that guy's name, but
And he
who cares?
Steve Jobs, Bill Gates was one. He would tell you outright, it's like, don't tell me any ideas, I'll take them. He admits to it. I
Yeah.
don't, still doesn't make it right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they exploit the artists, and these artists are just but that's kind of, you see that so much of the time. It's Bob Ross. You should watch that on Netflix about Bob Ross. His son has a documentary on there about Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Phenomenal guy, Bob Ross. Hugely talented, and talented in a way of talking to people, talented in a way of simplifying, which he learned, just like everybody learns. Everybody learns from somebody or multiple
Right.
people. But again, investors came in and used his ability to reach the masses, and now his son is, I won't say penniless, but he is like cut out of the whole thing. And, everybody who was tied to Bob Ross, but the company is doing well.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
company is, and they, the company even sued the family, taking all of Bob Ross's paintings out of their houses and everything,
Wow.
so that they wouldn't have any tie to the company after
Yeah.
Bob Ross passed. So it's
Yeah.
it's an age old
This is the,
story, and these companies are the same way.
Mhm.
They take
Yeah.
ideas from us creators, and I don't really want to sound negative, but I know that sounds really negative. But it's just the age old story.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
They do.
So
Well, look at what happened to the guy who did Calvin and Hobbes, Watterson. He quit doing Calvin and Hobbes because the companies would not leave him alone. They
Mhm.
wanted to merchandise the stuff. He said, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it as a comic book. They harassed him so much. He's like, fine, I'm ending the comic. And that's why he ended it. He's like, I'm so tired of dealing with their crap. They're constantly harassing me. I want to, mark, because they want to make all that money, man. They're just
Yep.
vultures. And he's like, I just want to make because he was making money off the comic at the time. He didn't need it, the other merchandise. He didn't
Right.
care.
Mhm.
And they still, so every time I see anything with Calvin and Hobbes, I'm like, I know that's a pirate. The little
Yep.
stickers with the guy peanut, like that's all pirated stuff. And it
Yep.
just irritates me, the fact that they can't just take no for an answer. They got to harass this guy to the point where he's just like, fine, now we don't get any more Calvin and Hobbes because they couldn't leave him alone.
Yep.
And but I watched the thing on Bob Ross. That was sad. And now I didn't realize that now I don't buy anything with Bob Ross on it anymore.
yeah, I will not.
I used to, because
Yeah.
I'm just like, I didn't know that. I thought his son and stuff was getting it, but
Well, I knew years ago that his son, because I wondered about his son, because I used to watch those because I paint.
yeah.
And I wondered whatever happened to his son. I just started Googling him. And when you Google him, it's like, well, we don't really know what happened to him. He dropped off the grid. Well, come to find out that you watch the documentary, you'll figure out why he dropped off the grid.
Kind of
Because,
forced off the grid.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I have to say, on the same hand, as terrible as that is, there are a lot of IPs that we would not be enjoying
Mm.
Right.
without that dynamic at work. And so I'm not saying it's good, but I'm not saying I'm glad it's that way, but I wish it weren't that way. But
Right.
that,
It's also
so what do you
kind of
do?
a two-edged sword, though, too, a little
is.
bit, in
You
that the
get
fact
get a
that
good entertainment lawyer.
it keeps these IPs
Right.
Be
alive.
smart.
But
Be
there's so
smart.
much money pumped into Star Wars and Marvel and all these old IPs that it's so hard for new IPs from
Mhm.
independents like us to get seen because we're just buried under all this Disney, Marvel, popular, plastered everywhere. I mean, let's say, for instance, people like took My Godlands and put it in the store. If it was another company, it would be like one book sitting in the store. It would not, you would not get the marketing push that Disney would do of like plastering Marvel over everything or whatever. And so there is something where like it's cool that they actually give the marketing push these IPs to get out there and stay there, but they also overshadow any new ones that come in, unless it's some complete fluke like The Walking Dead or something.
Yeah.
But there's so many good comics and stories that just get completely overshadowed by all the
I
popular
just
IPs.
say, as a creator or performer, or whatever you do, you need to be smart. And I'm reminded of the story of that Sergeant Slaughter tells about whenever they started doing the figures of Sergeant Slaughter, which is one of the greatest selling wrestling figures of all
Mhm.
time, even above Hulk Hogan or any of them. And he said that, whenever he was first approached by Vince McMahon to have these figures done, his question was to Vince, well, how much am I gonna, get from this? And Vince McMahon was always like, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. And no, how much am I getting paid? Oh, just don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And well, Sergeant Slaughter brought his lawyers in and
Yep.
sat down with Vince McMahon, and they wanted to know how much are we getting
Right.
for the figures. And it was
Mhm.
like, Serge, why you want to bring all these lawyers in and yada yada yada, and they just want our money and all that kind of stuff. And then he reiterated, how much are we getting for the figures? And then Vince McMahon, he storms over to his briefcase and pulls out this thing where he's got supposedly owns the rights to Sergeant Slaughter's name and his gimmick and all that stuff. And Sergeant Slaughter just kind of laughed, and they pulled out their papers, and he had already trademarked his name back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon was irate.
Well,
And
yeah,
Sergeant Slaughter ended up becoming rich overnight because the deal had already went through, and
Mhm.
all of the money has since poured into Sergeant Slaughter's coffers and made him a
Yep.
he
very
went with
rich
GI
man.
Joe. I mean, that was his number one thing is when he went.
Yeah.
The figures of GI Joe. I mean,
And that,
he's connected
yeah,
his name to a huge IP along with wrestling. I mean, it was like
yep.
boom.
Well,
Yep.
that is why on wrestling there you saw Sergeant Slaughter, and then all of a sudden you didn't see Sergeant Slaughter for a long time.
Yeah.
And then because Vince McMahon was, butthurt over the whole ordeal. But then eventually they brought him back, and then they, did some pretty bad things with his character and stuff. But
Almost like a
but hey,
revenge thing.
yeah.
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 But he's still doing stuff. He is, they're still making wrestling figures of him. He's still
Yeah.
making the money. He is also in a new line, Valaverse, which I've mentioned here before. Going to be making money off of that one. Crazy dude. You
Yeah.
gotta really take care to cross your T's and dot your
Mhm.
I's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one thing we went through went through school at Full Sail, which is it's an entertainment school, so a lot of it is entertainment business, especially the performance. But one of the workshops they offered every semester was on entertainment law, and if you're a writer, if you're in film, if you're in music, like what type of like lawyer do you need to get to look over your contracts? What words do you want to like make sure are in there or aren't in there? And like the different levels of rights that you want. Something that I didn't think about until actually into it was translation rights as a writer are huge. Being able to decide who gets those or how you sell them out, because a lot of sales for publications now are international. So being able to get the most like beneficial deal and not having it be up to some publisher or agent who may not be specialized in international deals is quite important, because apparently that's how Brandon Sanderson, before he got after he got started with doing the last books in the Wheel of Time, and then before he started doing his own thing, he made a bad deal with translation and lost pretty much all the money he would have made off of a trilogy.
Oh wow,
Oh,
I did not
dang.
know that.
Yeah.
Well, see, the trouble about it is, it's like, like in the comic or entertainment industry, everybody's starving,
Mhm.
and they're like not getting very much paying work. And then all of a sudden, some entity comes along, like, a movie, house, or, Disney, and they're like, or Marvel for the comic book artists,
Yeah.
or DC, and they're like, hey, we want you to come work for us. And then you're like, wow, and then like all sensibilities go out
Mhm.
the window, and you don't think about, this is my big break, this is my chance.
And they take you
But
for all your worth. Yeah.
come to
Yep.
find out, you are a sheep, and you're about to get ate by a wolf.
Yeah. That's if I ever series Marvel, my X Club idea is still on the table. I mentioned it before.
Right.
I will relaunch Doctor Nemesis, but I'll do that in a heartbeat. But that contract is getting reviewed. I'm going to be messaging people, seeing what rates they have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the same time, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
You just really have to be careful, because you also don't want to talk yourself out of a deal.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're not all bad. I mean, some are actually good, but it's I guess with comics, it almost speaks more just to self-publish as much
Yeah.
as you can if you have that avenue, because then you don't have other people, going after your stuff or stuff like that. So yeah. But then again, the thing that's great about going with the publisher, like with my kids' book, they put it in this nice little hardback format. I couldn't
Nice.
afford to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, it would have been paperback, so I got nice books out of it. But they kind of Action Lab, unless Action Lab goes under, then the book's mine again.
Yeah.
So
All right, well, that was the first hour, so we're going to hit a quick ad break, and then we'll get back into what I did over the weekend, and I think we're going to just kind of talk whatever we need to. We already kind of mentioned one of our subjects earlier without even meaning to go
Right.
into it, so we'll see how things go. It's a chill post-Turkey Day vibe check with your Tuesday crew. So we do still have the last couple of days of Kickstarter, which you can check out there. This is Twilight Gem number 3, White Devil number 1, and it is currently funded on Kickstarter. And as you can see, we have some of our fantastic cover art behind me now. So go ahead, pick that up.
Awesome.
You have 4 days to
like
order.
the news. It's
I
like
know.
the news.
And we have rain clouds forming over here, making their way down south. Yeah, so head over to Kickstarter, pick up a copy. You have 4 days to get your pre-order in. We are already funded on that. And again, these books are already made when they go to Kickstarter. This is just essentially making sure that we get paid and that we can pay our printer, because Silverline likes to pay their creators, unlike Disney. Anyway, we do what we can. It's not as much as Disney, but sometimes it's more than Disney.
Tim, you are up in our game on the Tuesday stream. I mean,
Yeah.
the other days groups are gonna have to catch up to us.
All right.
Yep.
All right. And we're back. That being said, Del Taco, we will sell out if you give us an opportunity.
We have no shame, so
that was like what was the watching Seinfeld, and there was the episode where Kramer had this burn this lip on coffee, and they were doing a gag on the hot coffee, the classic, the lady who sued McDonald's because of coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$3 million bucks.
And it was like he had this lawyer who was going to figure it out, and he goes in there, and they're like, they were talking before Kramer got there, like, should we offer him like $50,000 or maybe just a lifetime supply of coffee? Would that work or whatever? And they come in to debate or deliberate the deal, And the guy's like, "We're willing to offer you a lifetime supply of coffee." And Kramer's like, "Sold!" And the lawyer's like, "Seriously, dude?" And so
Yeah.
it's like that. It was like Del Taco. It's
Yep.
like, we like to offer you supply. You can have anything you want. Take it all.
Exactly. We're any contract to any major publisher. We'll have to review it, take it thoroughly. Del Taco, I don't care.
And just take it.
Bring it here.
I'll take it.
It's like the Futurama gif. Take my money when he's got all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess I'll talk about what I did over the weekend.
And that would be the next hour, folks.
I mean, next hour, yeah. Speaking of way too long, I decided to pick up. I started doing it probably a while ago, but I actually sat down and have committed time to playing through Witcher 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about long games.
I know that is a time frame.
It's good though.
So it's good. I'm about 15 hours in now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, when did you start?
I started playing it like legitimately on Friday. But
that's funny too, because I remember.
Okay.
Let me know how the combat gets better, because I remember I was fighting stuff when I started playing that, and he did like this twirl, and like he missed the enemy and started spinning into the wall, and I'm like, no, you're come back. You're not spinning over there. But I did like what I played. It was just
yes.
I will say it's a little hard to go from Dark Souls to The Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm playing on PC, so the controls are from what I understand, like the specificity of the movements is a little more locked in than it was on console.
Okay.
Yeah, but it feels. I'm still getting used to like the timing on dodging. That's different to me. But it feels like playing something like a Arkham Knights or Arkham Origins, where it's once you get into the flow of it, it's very locked in. Yeah. But the narrative, I loved The Witcher. I loved Witcher 2. That was the one that I actually played. I didn't play 1, but I love 2. Still love the narrative in this one, and the TV show is fantastic.
Yes.
I've actually never
I wish they'd hurry up with that second season.
Yeah, that's gonna be another thing of binging in next month.
Yep.
Does it come out next month? Is that
Next month? Yep. We got so next month
I knew it was
it's
soon.
Witcher next season of Expanse, continuing Hawkeye,
There's
Spider-Man.
another season of Expanse?
Yeah, the last one.
Well, I know there's. I haven't watched the
Yep.
newest one that came out.
Yeah, it's gonna be 6. Yeah, that's starting next month. It's gonna be 6 episodes. It's gonna end the series.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Didn't know it.
You gonna cry a little bit, Tim?
maybe.
Kind of out of focus.
Yes. But that's been what I've been playing. Of course, also playing Halo Infinite, which if you if those of you watching at home,
download that.
yes, multiplayer is free. Yeah. For those of you watching at home, if you head over to twitch.tv/agrobacon, I have highlights up from streaming it on Sunday. One of which is a no-scope triple kill with a sniper rifle.
Nice.
Yeah. I hit the dab very hard after that.
Yeah. Jeez.
What'd you eat for Thanksgiving, Tim?
Too much. We had 2 family Thanksgivings, so did lunch at one, dinner at the other, and have been having turkey sandwiches all weekend, pretty much.
Well, check this out. My surgery was the 18th. Stomach surgery.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I watched everybody eat
Yes.
while
Yeah.
I was on clear liquids.
Oof.
And I
that was
watched
the best
hard.
water turkey you ever drank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like wild
Yeah.
turkey. I'm like, yeah, hey, weren't you drinking like
Yeah.
just have the wild turkey then?
Ever since
put
then,
some broth into this.
yeah,
I know.
yeah. Hey, yeah, and my kids probably gained about 3 or 4 pounds because, like, over the weekend, I just was like feeding them stuff and watching.
Yeah.
I was like, "Here, take this pizza." Eat this pizza just so I
Right.
can watch them, you know.
Let me smell the pepperoni.
You know,
My wife told me, you can't live vicariously through them. You're gonna make them overweight. And I was like, well, it's just a couple times, you know.
Yeah.
they're young.
It's just a couple meals. Just a couple meals. I just want to smell it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeesh. Are you back to eating solid foods now, or are you still like weaning
I
onto it?
started soft foods today. Also got my stitches out.
Okay.
And today, which wasn't bad. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it'd be. When I had carpal tunnel surgery, man, it was like a raven picking the palms of my hands. It was crazy, hurt bad, but it wasn't bad. But yeah, I just started soft foods today, so I'm eating stuff like I ate an egg, I ate some guacamole, but I can only eat like 2 ounces.
I was
Like
gonna
the
say,
egg
you're like
was,
down to like minimum.
yeah. I can only eat 2 ounces at a time. I have to drink water sips at a time, and it just stretch it out. I mean, it'd take me 30 minutes to eat, 3 ounces of anything. So that's just the way it is right now. So I've
Yeah.
lost, I've lost about 25 pounds
Wow.
since surgery. But it's good though. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah. Well, as long as the recovery is healthy and it gets you where you need to be, that's
Yeah, and I'm really not hungry. That is kind of the problem, is I'm not hungry at all. So it's a new experience for me. I don't know when I'm full. I just know don't eat, because it'll come back on you later. So I just have to be careful. I'm not hungry. It's kind of like when you're sick and you don't have an appetite,
yeah.
but you have to eat. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, Thanksgiving dinner was great.
Yes. Gwen was on the California diet where you're just having the blended greens. Yeah. Yeah. No. Reading. I picked up volume 1 of Undiscovered Country, image comic by Scott Snyder.
Was this Scott Snyder from it? I thought
Yeah.
it was Matt Fraction. I can't remember.
I think it's
What is
Snyder
that
and
one
Fraction together, but yeah.
What is that one about? I've seen
So,
that in the
yeah.
stories.
So actually I'm digging it quite a bit. It's essentially one day's out overnight, America decides to completely disassociate from the rest of the world. So no communications in or out. They jam any like international signals, and they essentially put up these giant forts along the entire exterior, so no one knows what's happening there for 30 years. Yeah. Then a virus starts. World War III happens. Europe and Africa create one coalition, and then you have the Pan-Asian zone, and they start like a Cold War starts brewing there. A virus hits, and it is. I think they said they have like 6 years until the global population outside of the United States is no longer sustainable. And then they receive a communication from the inside the United States saying that there is a they have a cure for the virus, and they're willing to help the Asian Prosperity Zone and the Alliance work things out. They just have to send a small team in. They'll give them like the vectors, the clearance codes to get through their force field, essentially. The team gets there and discover that America is not at all as the message has implied.
Almost kind of like when we went into Russia after the
Yeah,
the Cold War. After that, we were like, "Wow, they are not as advanced as they were touting as they were."
That's exactly the footprint they're going for with that. So it's and they the character who guides them through all this is a man by the name of Uncle Sam Elling.
I thought he was going to be like an
cool.
Uncle Sam thing.
So he's their guide inside the United States, and it's it's a little. There's definitely like some like weird like psychological horror aspects to it, a little bit of body horror too, but it's just a really like weird, cool sci-fi.
It sounds really
advent-
cool. It reminds me of Night of the Living Dead, one of those where they get on the radio, the ambulance are like, send more paramedics. They're eating the paramedics.
Yep, yeah, it's it's kind of that's a good way to put it.
Paramedics, send more paramedics.
Yeah, it's there's it's really unique, and I really like it. It's definitely a different story. So I've been enjoying that.
It's done, isn't it? I think the series is finished.
I think it's done. Yeah. But yeah, I picked up volume 1. So I'm probably gonna end up getting the rest of the trades. Other than that, went back and I've been revisiting the Messiah trilogy from X-Men, Messiah Complex War.
Messiah Complex.
Yeah, Messiah Complex is so good.
Yeah, that's when Cable was running around with Hope as a baby.
Yes, yeah, and then you got Messiah War, which is I think Hope is 10 at that point, something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's where Bishop came after.
Yeah, Bishop, and that's also where we get the kind of the culmination of Age of Strife, and I just wrapped that up, and I'm about to start into Second Coming. But that's I mentioned this on Twitter, but that's like my comfort food equivalent of comics. Like, if I just want something that feels good, that's what I go back and read.
I think what is the one? I'm trying to think. I've read the X-Men a few times. The Claremont run. That's usually what I stick to. Read Alien Legion. I'll go back and reread things all the time. I have all
Claremont do Asgardian Wars?
I'm not sure if he did or not.
Was that Claremont? Oh,
I don't know if he did. I think he did some. I'm not sure if he did that or not.
Yeah, that's Chris Claremont.
I went back and read Sin City again.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah. So I have a few comics that I go back. Do you guys have any series that you go back and read over and over? I take it the X-Men for you a lot, Tim.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I do like was it War of Kings? That's
wasn't that like a Spider-Man one, or am I thinking of
No, that was Inhumans.
Yep.
Okay.
Against Genesis and the Shi'ar Empire.
And Vulcan.
Yeah. So Black Bolt powered up a machine that Maximus created that took Adelon off the moon and flew it back into Kree space to go help the Kree and basically say, we're going to rule you by helping you advance because their genetic pool was stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And Vulcan was like, no, thank you. We're going to decimate all of you. The artwork was amazing. And Crystal was going to marry Ronan the Accuser. It was such a art style and like the dynamic of all like whatever the Shi'ar army was called, like all the superpowered they had.
Weren't those the ones that
was it Death Squad or something
like they were hand painted?
I don't remember what they were called. What was that?
Didn't they look like they were almost hand painted, the pages? If I remember this right.
No, those were easily digitally colored.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my go-tos. I got that book from a friend. He let me borrow it, and I've never given it back, even though he knows I have it. He's like, yeah, someday I'll come pick it up. I'm like, all right, because I keep reading it.
Yep.
Yeah, I keep going back to that one. There's a few others. I actually like the original Ultimate X-Men. I thought those were kind of cool. I wasn't a huge fan of Ultimate Spider-Man, but like Ultimate X-Men I thought was cool.
I've read the Ultimates a few times. The Avengers Ultimate, I have those. I think
I read them after I actually watched the cartoon movies.
Oh, did you?
Okay.
Yeah.
I read the Next, not X-Men, Next Men by John Byrne. I read that a few times.
Oh, I remember those.
I've read that.
They made that into a video game. Didn't they make those into a video game?
No, there was a one called the Red Star that I know they made into a video game.
There was Next X-Men. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Have you guys ever read the Red Star? Any of you guys ever heard of that? You guys might like this. It's they never finished the series, so and I don't think they're ever going to. But it was basically sort of this alternate version of Russia
Okay.
during some of the Russian wars, but they would use like magic and stuff and like
Ooh.
technology. So it was like high military with like magic casters and stuff. The book they did like 3D models and then the artwork, and it was their books are like oversized. They're big. There's about 3 or 4 books in it, and I mean, it ends kind of on a cliffhanger. You can kind of infer.
I remember
probably
the
what
covers.
happened.
The covers were gorgeous.
Yeah, the interiors are just as good. I mean, they're fantastic. It was a team that did, and what I heard is there was a bunch of like infighting, or somebody was getting compensated, or blah blah, and they never finished it. And everybody's hoping like that, but it's been so many years, I doubt they'll ever come back and finish it. So you can read what is there. I mean, again, if you go through the library or something, might be worth checking out. Those are really, really cool. But they did make a video game off that for the PlayStation 2, I think, called The Red Star. So it's actually pretty fun. That's the only video game I know of based off a independent comic book or whatever like that. But I have like a few statues of them and the I just thought it was a cool concept, the whole sort of mixing of magic that they would do in that series. And it was cool because they started doing like these oversized, even the individual issues were oversized. And I have a friend who does his own independent comics, and he likes to do his issues magazine size, which I'm like, that's okay, that's kind of cool. I can see that.
Yeah.
It kind of hinders collectability because everything's made to a comic book size, but sometimes it's kind of cool to get that oversized.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can get magazine, like old, they're not Silver Age, but like old magazine style bag and boards.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way you can bag and board any the Black Label for DC Comics is through you have to get those specific bags. They don't fit in a long box or anything like that. But
well, it's funny, a lot of the Black Label's based on the European version. There's a name for those type of issues. The way they do the issues, they're like bigger and they're like, kind of like perfect bound. They put for it. There's a French name for them. That's what they did with the Black Label. So I thought it was really cool. But I mean, again, I don't think Europeans collect. I don't think they collect comic books like we do. I don't think the Japanese do. I think Americans are because of the issues.
Yeah, it's mostly Americans and the French, from what I understand.
The French do that. Okay,
yeah,
collect that.
Yeah,
most of the I know like a lot of the Shonen Jumps. When they bring them out in Japan, like the people just read them and then recycle them.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't keep them.
Yeah, they'll get they don't like the jumps themselves, but if they when they put out the essentially their version of like the trades, but like the collected volumes,
they'll buy those.
They'll buy those, yeah.
So it's a different mentality because a lot of people are like, well, don't do magazine because you can't collect, and I'm like, I know. Actually, I have a few of his issues here, and I actually like the magazine size. I don't know if I'd ever do, but I actually thought when I collected my Goblins, actually making it maybe one magazine size. I don't know. Maybe it'll work. I like playing with different formats and stuff. I'm always a sucker for the perfect bound, big size comic books or whatever. So
right, I have the I don't know 4 or 5 issues of the Wonder Woman. Was it Dead Earth?
Yeah, that's a good series.
Cool.
Yeah. I have like the first issues, and my friend loaned me the graphic. He bought the complete graphic novel, and I finished it and liked it. It's on my list to eventually buy. It's weird because if I get it from the library and stuff, I'm like, well, I definitely want to keep it in my collection. But I get days ago, I'm like buying them. But there's been some stuff in the library I've bought, just because I read it and then went down and hunted it down and bought it myself.
Have y'all read any Pete the Cat?
Yes.
Wasn't that? Yeah, wasn't that more?
Llama?
Wasn't Pete the Cat more of like? Wasn't that like a kids comic or whatever?
Yeah, it is. It's
you can buy them in digest now.
I have little kids, so
yeah.
Do they read
most of my reading? But I pretty consistently refer back to some of my old stuff, and I love to buy these books like The Art of Darksiders, The Art of I've got one from a series Jim Lee did that's all just pencil. It's a comic book of all just penciled pages, and I've got a David Finch. I like to refer back to them, and just kind of study them and stuff. As far as stories, I don't go back a whole lot unless there's something that I'm not clear on, and then I'll go back and I end up reading it over again. like Secret Wars.
Oh yeah.
It's old. It's
Yeah.
classic. But
I have several. Like I have Frank Cho's Ballpoint Beauties, and
I got that
where
too.
he,
Yeah.
that was fantastic. Just watch like just the work in there, just hatches and cross hatches,
Yeah.
man. Jeez.
Yeah.
I've got
But I
2 of
have
his books.
the art of War of the Realms, like that big spanning
Yeah.
crossover
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Marvel.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
I've got
just
several dark. I've got Diablo 3s, Darksiders, Skyrim, uh, Frank Cho. I've got some Jim Lee, some different things that are not comic book stuff. I even have like D&D books, that
Yeah,
have the monster
yeah.
manuals and all that kind of stuff, just for concept stuff. It's just
yeah.
interesting to look
Guess
I
at.
did
See
get
the
the
art.
art
The
of Mass Effect and the art of Ratchet and Clank was one that I hunted down because I wanted
Mhm.
the Ratchet and Clank one.
I guess the writer equivalent is when you can get your hands on like essentially commercialized story bibles. So
Yep.
Right.
Boom.
yeah,
Didn't they make Warcraft comics at one time? Did
they did.
make
They
Yeah,
still
they
do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe those were out through Dark Horse.
Okay, yeah.
I
That makes
picked up a few of them, and like the first one was pretty well drawn, and then it seemed like they kind of descended, and then I just couldn't get them.
I don't know.
And
I
it really
wasn't
wasn't.
happy. None of the characters in the books look like my tune.
Right.
Yep.
Did you
Yeah, there was a
ever
lot of stuff like that. I don't know.
like the art of Darksiders? Did you ever see the Battle Chasers video game they made?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen it, but I'm aware of it,
was
and I
it
see the
night
stuff
night
online.
something?
I'm a big fan of Joe Mad. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
he
It's
him.
did all
on
the
it's on
artwork
Game
and that.
Pass.
What?
The
Is it on Game
Battle
Pass?
Chasers. Yeah, it's on Game Pass because I have it.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's actually not very long. It's a role playing game, but it's not
No,
very long. If you
no, it's
like Joe
not.
Mad's artwork, it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
To
Mhm.
hit
Yeah,
that
it's
same
very
company
Final
also just
Fantasy-esque.
released another game based on a League of Legends, and
Yes.
it looked really cool. I did not even know that was coming out, so I have to hunt that down too.
But yeah, League is doing a whole content dump of stuff outside of the main game. So they have
Yeah.
that. They have another puzzle game. They came out before that, as well as Arcane, which blew up on Netflix. I don't know if anyone's bothered to watch that. I'll probably get to it eventually.
I'm trying to think.
It's a movie, right?
Yeah, it's a TV show that they put out like in.
Isn't it called like
So it's episode?
Exception?
No, it's called Arcane.
Arcane. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but is it episodic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I must only have watched one episode. I thought that I stopped the movie. I must have.
Yeah, there's like
Well,
they put it
not
like
episodes.
in like it was weird because they did it like in chunks. So they did 3 episodes, 3 episodes, 3 episodes, something like that on Netflix or whatever.
Oh,
Is the
gotcha.
whole thing out on Netflix now?
I think I'm not sure because I knew that
I
they
believe
wanted to
so.
do it.
I believe it is because people are already talking about how they want or they can't wait for like season 2 or part 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I knew what they had wanted to do is they wanted to stretch out a little bit because they wanted to get some of that same pull that Mandalorian and WandaVision had with it being a weekly release, that it caused the conversation to go on it longer rather than something like Castlevania where people talked about it for a week and then it was done.
Yeah. I did not like the cat. I'm a big Castlevania fan. I love the games.
I need to watch
Man,
season 3.
I did not get. I watched season 3, which is supposed to be like I watched halfway season 3. It was supposed to be like the best. I just got bored, man. To me, I was sitting there going like, "Look, dudes, Castlevania is about guy invading the castle of Dracula and killing him. You just need to make one straight up action movie, him getting in the castle, kicking ass, killing Dracula. It's like we need to go into politics. No, we need to do other
Right.
vampire stuff. No, stop this. No, it is simple, to the point. Stopped, and I think by the 4th episode they kept talking. I'm like, for an action game, this is really boring.
I think it was because I think it's really weird because they definitely got the generational vibe differently because it's not Simon Belmont, it's his grandkid, and that was Opera of the Night or something like that when they actually got to him in the games or whatever. So
Yeah.
by that point we barely ever actually went into Castlevania. It was the rest of the hillside that were going on.
It
But
was just,
yeah.
I don't know. It was just like, for an action game, I was thinking like, dude, that'd be a kick-ass movie if the guy was like going up to the castle. And the whole movie is just him, like, you can make a movie of him just invading the castle and make it kick-ass and action-packed. I mean, they've already done this twice with the Raid and Dread, so I know you can do this story and make it effective. They've done it, and they go like, well, no, we need to do all these other add these other characters and this. And I'm like, stop doing that, stop it. And yeah,
No,
I
I
did
don't
not.
mind when they make changes whenever, and you know they're going to make changes whenever
Yeah.
they do these
Right.
movies. I don't mind when they make changes that improve, but man, when they take something that is really good and they just totally, you know,
Go.
mess it up, I hate that, dude.
I think I'm kind of in a different opinion here because I did like it, and I like the vampires politicking each other, especially the Scandinavian one. I'm a Viking. I make boats and I kill things. That's what I do.
No, there's 4 seasons,
What?
right?
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
did watch the first 2 seasons, but after that second season, that long scene, you know what I'm talking about, I was just, I'm done. Is the third season got any of that in it?
It's
Or?
supposed to be amazing. I couldn't get into it, but everyone's favorite season's the third one. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
So I tried. I mean, like, if I'm watching season 2 and gone to 3, and yeah, I tried. I'm trying to think. As far as comic book, I have a few go to. I kind of cycle through comic books. Like I'll read Bone. I've been itching to read Bone again, so I read Bone, Next Men, Conan. I just kind of cycle through and
Yeah.
between reading new comics I get in, but a series. Akira Appleseed, their score point. Appleseed score 2 points. So I just kind of cycle through stuff and then just kind of read other things as I get them. But yeah,
It's
I
funny,
like
my
things that
son
have an
read
ending.
Bone, and I didn't even encourage him to do it. He just happened to pick it up at the school library.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bones a classic, and I really did like Invincible, so I'll give you. I've read Invincible
Invincible's great.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I
usually
guess-
I'm not a big superhero fan, but I did like that series.
Yeah. I guess I mentioned going back to like looking at art books, like the stuff by Frank Cho and whatnot. So I guess this is the most equivalent for like a writer. So Ben Piercy, he wrote Green Arrow, and also he's writing X Force, and he has a book that is essentially just him dissecting writing action thriller. And so
that would be interesting.
it's a really good resource that I find myself going back to again and again just to refresh on some of the stuff that he uses. Same principles.
Yeah, I actually will every few years. I think I just got done reading Understanding Comics again, which I really like. That strange enough, I have a lot of the sequels he did to that, and they were okay, but I don't know. I think he kind of nailed it the first time. I mean, you get some stuff out of the second one, but especially when he went into like digital comics, digital frontier, and some stuff to pass, but a lot of stuff he was excited about never came to pass. So, definitely some interesting stuff. I tried to read his Zot. I couldn't get into Zot. I tried. Good. Scott McCloud. I mean, it's a great storytelling, whatever. It just wasn't my jam. I did finish reading it. So.
Yeah, I tend to go back to because I have the 2 framed ink books. And
yes.
It's, not quite framed ink, but it's like that. It's like something noir. It's one of my favorites. How to Draw Noir.
Okay.
How to Draw Noir comics.
Nice.
I don't think I had that one. That's cool.
Because I was having trouble in school with I got books falling with spotting blacks. So
yeah,
someone recommended.
You know
that book
what?
to me.
I have that too. That same book that you were talking about. It's got a lot of the light and shadows.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a book about film that I read, that same concept of how to set up shots in film. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't the guy who did Ink, didn't he also work in film as well?
Yeah, I believe so.
So. Okay, maybe I'm thinking that I was looking at Inked, and maybe I'm thinking of that book because I remember him talking about in a film and how he would set up shots. Did he? So he made 2
Well, he
Ink books?
talks about it. He talks about like in regards to like camera angle and using camera angle. Viewing it like through a camera to like establish your scenes and stuff like that, and how you establish like your spotted blacks. But even then, like I was like, okay, I get that, but like I'm a big fan of like noir stories, like just the idea, like the old Jim Cagney movies and whatnot back in the day.
Yeah.
I'll watch those all day long if they're on. You know what I mean? If there's a marathon, I'm there.
Lights and
Nice.
shadows, man, in artwork, if you can incorporate them masterfully, it is just amazing. Some of the
Mhm.
Right.
most amazing artists are the ones who really have a good play on the lights and shadows. That's something that I'm still learning. And one of the reasons
Yeah,
why I'm
same.
still learning is because for me, I didn't even notice it until I picked up that book years ago. Um, and then it became a thing. And then I started looking back through the comics that I usually study and look through, and I started seeing, them using these lights and shadows. And man, it really made their artwork pop. And then I started incorporating it and trying to use it and work with it.
Yeah.
But before that, it was just always a drop shadow under the chin and maybe a little something, kind of. But
A little bit here and there.
You also have to make a split too, because nowadays the digital coloring is so good. You really have to make a good divide between all your shadows and what a colorist can render without you having to do all that, So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's really, really powerful to be able to do the lights and shadows. But one thing I noticed when I went back to some of the comics is I noticed that some artists and I never noticed it, and I'm sure that a lot of people don't notice it, but they were using the same face shadows on
Hmm.
every character.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it wasn't because the light was shining the same way. It's just that was their like signature go-to light shadow blend.
Yeah. Jim Lee
Uh,
does that a lot. Like especially if you look at his chest area and his faces, he does the whole dark shadow underneath the rib cage where it looks like the chest, the stomach
Oh
is
yeah, like
sunk in.
where you go from like the bottom of your rib, the bottom of your
Hmm
sternum into like
He's
your
classic in
your
like
abdominals.
everything. It totally works, but yeah, it's funny. I've noticed, like Quentin was saying, as you go through the comic, you realize these guys aren't really worrying about light source. They're just kind of drawing the same characters in that signature sort of style all the time.
yeah.
I really got into cross hatching stuff. That was kind of and I don't know if I'm super successful what it is my cross hatching, but I started noticing, like Arthur Adams and a lot of artists, like they still use shadows, but much more cross hatching. I really got
Have you
into like
checked out? Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just saying, have you checked out Arthur Adams' Instagram page? Like when he goes through
No.
his process photos. Holy cow, that guy perspective grids everything. Like you can see all the like the lines
Classic.
throughout the whole thing. Yeah, because I mean he's trained that way, and
Yeah.
he does that to set up, and it looks so gorgeous. I always felt his faces were a little wide, but like it's his style, and it's just it works.
Yeah.
Easily can see, hey, that's beautiful, and it's definitely Arthur Adams. Like it's his work. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Just by
I
like
didn't
the
know he
amount of
had a
detail.
page.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Another
yeah.
one
Check
who
him out,
does
dude.
that is John Byrne. He
Yeah.
perspectives the crap, does perspective grids everywhere. The other artist that really got into is Travis Charest, and he does a lot of stuff for European comics.
But he did Wildcats. He did Wildcats like
Yeah,
ages ago, and his style is like they colored over his pencils. They didn't even put inks on it.
yeah.
Like
He
that's
just
just
and
fantastic.
I heard that this guy, which irritates me, he doesn't even have to set up like instruction lines. He just starts drawing
Yeah.
and then just makes it. I'm like, oh, get out of here, you suck.
Right? Excuse me,
Yeah,
Travis
that guy's a
Charest.
monster artist. And I've looked at he's did some stuff with Meta Barons and some other comics, and wow, that guy's just Greg Capullo too is coming to his own. And he used to
That
be a
guy
much more
cracks
of like
me up.
a McFarlane kind of clone, but he's really gone into like now he's much more. You
Yeah, when
notice
he did was it
that's
Batman
uh,
Rebirth, I think it was. And during the Court of Owls, that was
mm,
like to me that was like his artwork hit like its peak, and it was
yeah.
hit the ground running from that point. Like every Batman thing he did just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's one of those guys up there, and he does a little bit of cross hatching. More, I think, a mix between Dark Shadows and a little bit of hatching. I think he's a mix. But like I look at like, of course, the people that always like inspire me, like Bernie Wrightson and stuff when they do that. I mean, I not that good, but when they do their like
Right.
cross hatching stuff, I mean that's just. But those like the old woodcut prints of like, were 18th, 17th century.
It seems
when they
like
do that.
yeah, like I've seen an art proof book, like the big art proof book. But actually, I have a Bernie Wrightson art proof book. And just the pages, like the Frankenstein pages he did,
Yeah.
were just holy. I don't understand that guy. I don't know. He must have been on volume to be just calm and smooth to like get all
Yeah.
those lines in.
And you
Wow.
could say nowadays, like, oh, it's done on a computer, and it's like, that's all by
No.
hand. There's
Yeah.
something to be said about. I still think, I mean, computers can do a lot, but there's still nothing that's impressive. This is why, like, the animated movie Kira will always be impressive because that's amazing. Yeah, it's all done by hand, really, and it still looks better than most stuff put out with
You're talking
CGI.
about you said Akira, but like with
Yeah,
Tetsuo? Oh
yeah.
yeah. That's phenomenal.
I mean, it's just like, and then I've seen like the making of that film, and I'm like, just. That's why I remember growing up and like Disney was the epitome of animation, and then somebody showed me a bootleg copy of Akira, and I'm like, screw Disney. I mean, and like
Right.
Disney, you just got owned. Seriously, it was like,
Mhm.
wow. That was, and then I don't think anyone. I think a lot of people still consider that still the pinnacle 2D animation as far as just one of the classics. There's some really amazing. I mean, Studio Ghibli's done some amazing stuff, but no one ever seen it. I never seen anything like it, and I didn't know that was possible with animation at that time. So that was always inspiring to me.
Yeah,
And
our
then it always
family
kind of what?
no, I say our family loves Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does some amazing. I heard he's actually coming back and doing another film again.
I think he said he's doing one more. He came out of retirement to do one more.
Yeah. So, hey.
First film in X, Phil Leon, whose work again you can check out at the Kickstarter as the colorist on Right Devil. So please head on over there and get your backing, your pledge, get your pre-order in on Twilight Grim and White Devil, and get yourself some artwork by some colors by Phil Leon. As see here.
I was going to ask you guys kind of an
Outstanding.
off-topic question. I was going to ask this on Facebook, but I was curious to ask you guys this here. When you guys look online at like find comics on Facebook, like, do you wish more people would just post where you can go buy their comic instead of every single one being a Kickstarter? Does that
I
ever?
don't really, I don't really pay attention.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think for some I get it because especially like the way we do it, or it's immediate analytics. It's for a small printer. That's very nice to have that immediate analytic kickback, as well as it allows us to secure funding before taking it to print. So and most cases get it, but once you're like past the point of it being a Kickstarter, or if it's if it's something like Dune put out by Legendary, I'd much rather see like a link to a shop front or something.
Right.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them where I've actually wanted to buy their comic, and I go to the Kickstarter, and there was one. I was like, "Oh, this comic looks pretty cool," and it's like, "Well, how much for just the first?" Because they were Kickstarting issue 2 for just issue 1 and 2, and it's like $25-$30, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just not plugged that much. I don't care how cool your, and I'm amazed that I would never. I mean, if you went back in the day and said like, "Yeah, in the future you pay $15 a comic," they'd be like, "Get out of here!" What? But they are. And people make money, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a cheapskate, but there's a part of me. It's like I think you could kind of still price. I mean, $10, okay, but like $15 to $20 for like a single issue. I'm like, especially when I find
that
that
better have 30 pages.
Yeah, it better have 30 pages, and I want to see interior artwork because every time I find those pages, like, oh, the covers look great. What does the interior look like for like $15? Oh, it looks horrible. Okay.
It's sketch art, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to like if I back because I've backed like I think I've backed a total of like and Silverline included. I think I've backed a total of maybe 5 books ever, which isn't that much, but like it's only been recently that I've done it within the last maybe 6-7 months that I've like we're getting our finances are coming in that I can do that. I can put in and help somebody out, you know what I mean, like that, and get something out of it, you know what I mean? But I personally like if I
That's
don't
me.
mind doing crowdfunding or a storefront. I'd rather buy something from someone's store. Like if someone has
Yeah.
a big cartel store, I'll go buy it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like crowdfunding, yeah, that helps them out and whatnot. But if they already have it out and they have an online storefront for it, I want to go there because that supports them. You know what I mean?
That's the continued sport. That's kind of like why I keep buying stuff off like Indie Planet, because like there's all this
Right.
tons of stuff. But yeah, I think because and there's some that I guess sometimes I've asked like when I see Kickstarters like this one, I don't want to name names, but one was like, issue 1. And then there was like, this is a Kickstarter issue 2, but then you get issue 1. And I'm like, well, do you have a storefront where I can go buy issue 1 since you've already
Right.
Kickstarted it? And it's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so eventually when you get to issue 4, is it going to be $50 for all the issues? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what's starting to get like, look, if once you Kickstart issue 1, you put that on a storefront so I can go buy and check it out. And then I'll think about supporting issue 2.
Right.
But they don't do that. It's like they'll keep racking up. By the time they're like issue 5, it's like, oh, you want issue 1 through 4? Oh, that's an extra $20-$30. And I'm like, okay, come on. That sometimes gets under my skin a little bit. I'm like, no, you can
Well,
make
if
a
you
store.
figure like a comic now is like what, anywhere between like $4 to like possibly $7 depending on the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then you're going on to their Kickstarter or crowdfund, whatever crowdfund they use, because I actually like some of the books that are coming through Indiegogo as opposed to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna buy a book and pay that much money, I'm not saying I want all the extra stuff, but like I definitely want, if I'm picking up like issue 4, I definitely want the other 3 that were before it, and I'll pay $20 or $25 to get the entire thing, and I'll pay a little more to make sure I get the floppies as opposed to digital files.
I
I
do.
don't mind digital comics, but I physically love to have the book in my hand.
That's that, because it'll be like $10 for the PDFs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
That's starting to,
It's like one of my teachers at the Cuber School, Sean Mandrake. She is putting out her own book, and I'm pretty sure she's doing it herself and selling it on her online store and through her Patreon. And every time, like I message her, comments to her here and there about it because I love it. It's about her vampire character creating like another vampire to be a companion, like not like romantic, but like a new vampire family, and then his best friend becomes their like daywalker. It's really cool. And like I was like, listen, just sign me up every time you have something, a new book that comes out. Every time you have a new issue, just know I'm going to pick one up.
Yeah.
Like just expect it.
What, do you think...
For those of you wondering at home, if you can catch up on floppies before committing to a Kickstarter, you can go to indieplanet.com/Silverline Comics.
That's one thing I really like about our Kickstarters now, is not only halfway through our Kickstarters, it's like, here's issue 2 or 3, and then halfway through, it's like, here's our storefront.
Yep.
You can go buy the issues right now. I'm like, that's really cool.
And speaking of like...
And they're affordable.
Yeah.
And the value for the Kickstarter too, you're getting a flip book, which you can't really get anywhere else, and we do have like Kickstarter exclusive things on it. So,
but if you're missing
an issue, our Christmas special is I don't know, it's got almost as many pages as the Bible.
I think it's like 100-something pages, and I'm not sure if Jesus is in it. Because you mentioned the Bible, it is Christmas,
right.
So I don't know, but yeah, I know
we do feature a church in Wolf Hunter.
Yeah,
that's right, and then we blow it up.
We're not.
Yeah, but man, your work on that church, Quentin,
it was insane,
crazy. It was awesome.
I just after Quentin says that his church is calling him up. I'm sorry, you did what?
Right?
Yeah, you did what to the church?
My bad.
It's okay. It was to kill a Nazi.
Yeah.
75 cents for a comic. Phil Man X is saying, I remember. I remember back paying like $2. Okay, so the same kind of concept. Somebody on Facebook showed some kid in an aisle selling G.I. Joes back in the 80s.
Well, let's take it from the top. Yeah.
No problem, Tommy.
Yes.
But but he's in this aisle looking at G.I. Joes back in like a Toys R Us store back when I was a kid. And I was looking at the price tags because you can see them visibly. $1.99 for a figure, a little vehicle, $5. And I'm like, the good old days. Of course, inflation makes $5 a lot more.
I don't remember that. Like I
Yeah.
think I remember our figures were like $5 or something like that.
Yeah,
Four
No, I
ninety
remember
nine or something like
$1.99
that.
to $3 a figure for GI Joe.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
because that was like I knew me and my brother like as soon as the week was over, we get our allowance. We're going straight to pick up a new
allowance.
GI Joe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the time where you could buy a Lego kit without selling an organ.
Oh
But
my,
I
Right.
will say this though: the first toy that I ever bought, I saved up the money for was $6, and it was a He-Man little green vehicle. That
Mm,
thing today would be $30,
Was
and
that
it
the
was
one where you had the little
$6.
ripcord that you pulled the cord and it like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know
That's
that
it.
one.
Yeah, I still have it. It's over in storage in Mississippi, though.
I'm amazed that I'm seeing the He-Man stuff. It's pretty cool
Well, they
to
got the
see
like the
some.
new show out, right? The
Yeah,
part 2 to He-Man Revelations,
I think I watched the
Revelations,
first episode.
Revelation.
I didn't finish it. I actually
Yeah.
want to go back and finish watching 2012. They did a
mhm.
series back then. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah,
It's on YouTube. Apparently,
where
the whole thing's on YouTube.
Prince Adam was
X.
actually like a young kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
So
good one.
yeah, I don't know. Apparently, nobody liked the He-Man Revelations. I'll get around to it. Yeah, You know, the funny thing is,
Yeah.
it's funny you should say that, Film and X. I remember seeing Micronauts in ads and comic books. I don't remember ever seeing them in toy stores, and I don't know
I
why.
saw the ads in Toys R Us. They used to have ads in Toys
But
R
I
Us.
never saw them on the shelves. Maybe I was just one of those dumb kids that actually was always in the wrong aisle. But I remember because they always looked really cool, and then like I just walked on, like, where are the Micronauts? And like they're never there, and I'm like, huh, I
No.
don't
Yeah,
know.
I never picked any up as a kid. Like I don't know why. I mean, it's
They're
definitely
really
right
cool.
up
The
my
ones I've
alley.
seen, they
Yeah.
had like metal rivets for the joints. I mean,
Yeah,
they're really cool, but I just never saw them as a
yeah.
kid.
A
It was
friend
just
of
kind of
mine here in Florida, like he's like, "Oh my gosh, this Micronauts and this Micronauts, like these were my childhood." I was like, "Dude, I don't remember collecting those at
at
all."
all.
He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I had
I don't
all of them.
even
I had
know
this,
what
this, and this."
Micronauts are.
Oh, you never seen them? I remember in the ads, they were like, how do you explain? They were. It was a Marvel comic series, I think, for a while,
Yeah,
and then they
they were
made
like
and
miniature tiny people in their own little like almost subatomic world.
yeah, it was
Huh.
weird, and the characters are almost like this translucent plastic, so they look almost like
Yeah.
robots and stuff. They're really kind of cool looking. I remember the comic always looked kind of cool,
If
and I
I
remember
saw them, I know that I would
Yeah, you would
you'd
recognize
recognize
them.
them if you saw them. Yeah, you'd probably, oh yeah, Micronauts. Because I mean, I think and they had those, especially in the Marvel comics, they're always pitching them because Marvel did the comic series and they would pitch the Micronauts toys all the time. So
Yeah, funny enough, like the Micronaut toys in no way matched. I think except for the bad guy, in no way matched the figure or the characters from the
no, they
comic book
didn't. They look
at
completely
all.
different.
Yeah.
There was another toy line. I remember them actually though that they were talking about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that when they actually put out the D&D toy line,
Yes, it was nothing the same. Oh my
they were
god,
not the
yeah.
same. And yeah, the comic, yeah, you know, didn't IDW bring out Micronauts again? Didn't they actually do something with Micronauts for a little bit? IDW, I think, took
The
everything
comic,
boy. Yeah. I
I
know they
believe they
brought
did.
Rom back. I was a big fan of Rom the Space Knight when I was a kid. And
Yeah,
they
that was
brought
great.
Rom back, and I didn't like the way they did Rom. I like the old Rom.
Yep.
No,
That's another
I like the old Rom.
Micronauts
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah. They were, and yeah, there was the little alien. There was like but it's funny, the toys look nothing like those characters.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a complete flip.
I put a link in the private chat for the Micronaut figures, Quentin, if you want to see them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me get over there.
You know, it's funny. I nowadays I look at all the Marvel figures and DC. As a kid, I would have loved that back in the day, like having that articulation and stuff. They have our toys nowadays. I mean, we had kids with the toys, like we play video games. I'm like, yeah, they finally catch up with toys now. We have the toys we wanted as a kid, and now you kids play video games. You don't know how good you have it. Those toys look amazing.
Right?
You
I used
know?
to play GI Joes with my brother, probably well into my junior year of high school, just because
Yeah.
it was a blast. We just lay down, throw some blankets and whatnot, so it created like this like landscape, and we just would play right there in the
Yeah. It's
in
super
the
fun.
between his bedroom and mine.
I was a big fan of the mask toys.
Oh, the mask toys were great.
I actually still have all my those are the only toys I kept as a kid. I still have all of mine out in the garage. Mask, and I have no idea if they're worth money. They're still relatively good
They
shape.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
there's
are.
a one. There was a toy line called Exo Squad that came out in the late
Oh,
80s, 90s.
yeah.
I had the actual first 2 waves of that series complete with everything. I started collecting them.
Dang.
I don't have the boxes. But I had no idea. Now I see people online going like trying to hunt those things down, and I'm like, I just thought they were cool.
You
Yeah,
know, I faintly remember
Yes.
the
yeah,
Micronauts. Yep.
yeah.
Oh,
They're
I
like these
remember the Extra
translucent.
Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, McFarlane changed everything with the figures. I remember when I still remember buying the first Spawn figure.
Wasn't
I'm
that a
like, why does
cartoon?
Spawn have a
Wasn't
board with a
Extra Squad a
nail in it?
cartoon?
Which one?
Extra Squad, wasn't that a cartoon?
Yeah,
Yes.
they tried to. They were like trying to do what Robotech did, like back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Robotech. I think I've mentioned many a time.
Yes.
But they tried to do this like serialized sort of cartoon like Robotech, and they did an Exo Squad, which I've seen bits and pieces of the cartoon. People say it was actually good. I don't know if they ever ended it or finished it. Because they actually later on in the Exo Squad line, they actually brought in Robotech
Mhm.
toys into
Oh,
the
that's
line. It
cool.
was really kind of interesting. They were like, "This is like a Robotech Valkyrie, but it's Exo Squad." I'm like, "No, I know what that is." And but
Well, I started out doing Star Wars, and then I was only crazy about Star Wars. I didn't even get to watch the movies till way later.
yeah,
And because like my older brother and my uncle were into Star Wars, so I bought the figures of those. Then I remember Christmas, I got some GI Joe figures. Loved the GI. I
GI
still
Joe's
love GI
probably
Joe,
Yeah.
especially
when
the
I was a
original
kid.
13 when they went all into neon colors and
Yeah,
all that
I
stuff,
remember coming
crazy
out with
space stuff.
the
And then I collected He-Man for a little while, and that's because my grandma, she just bought me He-Man, and I just had like all these He-Man that my grandma would buy me, and I just kind of got into He-Man. And then I finally watched the cartoon. I was so disappointed because I was looking at the little comics that they
the
came
comics were
with,
cool.
Yeah.
and I was like, man, this is so cool, and then, I couldn't, but when I saw the cartoon, I was like, "And my fabulous sword!" I was like, "Look at this guy! I mean,
Yeah,
this thing, man,
I still remember as a kid seeing
fabulous
that and was
sword."
like,
I was
"Who's
saying,
Prince Adam? What do they do?" Yeah,
yeah.
it was because I read I read the mini comics and a lot of the stuff, and he was like this barbarian, and I was like, that's really cool. And then they
Totally
made the
changed it.
cartoon, and I did watch the cartoon as a kid, but I still remember watching it with this sort of sad face, like, yeah, but it could be so much cooler if it
I
was.
did start watching it later, and I kind of got used to it, but it's one of those things you kind of have to get used to. But I
Yeah.
was so into the comics, and I was thinking that's what it's gonna be. But I did. I collected a few Secret Wars, some of the Secret Wars
Oh yeah,
figures,
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I didn't even
yes,
like buy any of those. My grandma bought me some of those to begin with, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, these are so awesome!"
yeah.
yeah. Then I'd get
Like,
random
it's either
stuff
or,
like
and the one with the shield, right? The
Cen-
shield with the thing.
And the
Centurions. I
hologram.
don't know if y'all remember the
Yeah,
Centurions. They didn't
Yeah,
I
stick
didn't think.
around long, but I thought they were cool. You could put
I
all
like
the
the
stuff in
Silverhawk.
their bodies and
yeah.
stuff.
I had the blue one, the guy with the jet thing. He'd fly.
I
That's
had
the
the
one I
yellow
had.
one, the P
I had
yellow
the
one.
little one of
Yeah.
the little kid.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted the one with the guitar though, like the cowboy one. I always wanted that guy.
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're
They,
talking about Silverhawks.
Silverhawks, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Oh
watched
yeah.
Silverhawks. Yeah.
There's a
I
company
never
that's
did get any of the figures.
re-releasing Silverhawks figures, Super 7.
Super 7. Yeah.
And I thought about pre-ordering them.
Non Silverhawks.
I looked online and people like I looked at the pre-order list on Big Bad Toy Store, and I'm like, everything's on pre-order. I'm like, did these guys ever release? I've ever seen people online like, yeah, Super 7, they promote a lot of stuff, but they're kind of slow in the actual release. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait till I finally hits the shelves or whatever, wait a little bit. But I was a huge fan of Silverhawks. I had the toys when I was a kid and stuff. That was my favorite, probably more than Thundercats. I don't know, something about Silverhawks was cool. So the figures look cool, but I'm like, yeah, but if I put money down and never get them, that's kind of dumb. So
There
Right.
was a lot of stuff that hit that I would have been into, but it just kind of was a little past my toy playing time.
yeah, yeah.
Like I just barely made it to the Ninja Turtles,
I was
and I got the Ninja Turtles, like the 4 main characters, and but after that, I started kind of growing out of all of it. So
Mm.
that's
I
about
got
as far as I
into
went.
the Ninja Turtles comic. I started reading the comic, and when the cartoon aired, I was so excited. There was not a more disappointed kid on the planet than me after that
Well, see, I
cartoon
was the
aired,
other way. I found the cartoon first,
and then went to the
and then I saw the
yeah.
comic. So it was kind of switched for me. But I didn't really not like the the
Yeah.
comic, but I was like, holy moly, this is like adult,
Yeah.
Yeah.
compared to what I've
Oh,
been
I didn't even
seeing.
know there was an Eastman and Laird comic of Ninja Turtles. I watched the cartoon and then read the comics, but it was like the campy comics that are that had the
Oh
style
yeah, there
of
was the
of
Archie
the
put him
show,
out.
right? Where they went into
Yeah.
space and like wrestled and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I think it was like I don't know. I think I was barely in my 20s when I realized that they actually had like a original black and white comic of
Yeah.
it. And I went back and I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, yeah, it goes and it's like there were and I actually went back and collected the hardcovers of the Ninja Turtles. I still need to finish it because they ended the original series with this War of New York or something, and I never
Yeah.
did. I didn't like the artwork for it, but everyone says the storyline's great, so I just needed to go back and read it.
So, I believe that the last Ronin is like takes place after that, like skipping all the other stuff that was made. Last Ronin takes place like a little bit in the future after that, and each issue goes back, like moves forward with the story, but explains what happened to other characters
I
from the
wanted to
story.
go. I wanted to get that. Did they? I was kind of waiting for like a trade, but I don't know if
I
it's
don't
a
think it's
limited.
been traded yet, but yeah, I've read so far. I think I've read like 3 issues. I've been able to pick up
It looks
any more than that
awesome.
yet.
I mean, that was the
Oh,
one
it's
I was like,
great. The artwork is phenomenal.
okay, I need to hunt these down. They can't be that expensive. Maybe they are
Yeah, and like
initially.
the whole first issue, you're going through trying to figure out because it's about one turtle, right?
One guy survived. Yeah,
You're reading the whole thing like, okay, no, it's got to be this person. It's got to be this one. No, it's got to be this one. No, it's got to be this one. No, it's got to be. You know what I mean? And at the very end, you find out who the last Ronin is,
I did.
right?
I did
But
find out and stuff. So it is. So you could read the War of New York and go directly into the Last Ronin. Okay.
I'm pretty
That.
sure, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I like that because I did read some of the IDW Ninja Turtle stuff. It was okay. It was okay. I just like the original series, and anything that connects with that, I will dig into that. But the IDW stuff was okay. It has some cool stuff. I read them on
I
like
kind
I
of
think
wanted to
Cosmo.
read the was it Turtles and Batman
I
crossover?
did read the
Oh, yeah.
first one of that. That one's great, and the artwork is
Is it?
fantastic in that. And
Yeah.
then they brought out a second one. They actually had a He-Man Thundercats comic crossover that had great artwork in it. And I looked it up, like, oh, I should have bought it. I found it in Barnes. So I was like, oh, I can always buy it later. Now it's like $60,
Oh yeah, I'm
$70.
sure.
I'm
Nope.
like, God,
Yep.
whatever. It's like I guess one day it'll be reprinted, but that was kind of cool.
All right, we are at
Oh
The
yeah.
time.
so we're
How
gonna
do
put
we
up the
do
ticker.
that?
I know. So we're going to go back into our old school pattern. I am Tim TK. I have been your host and producer, writer, creator of Wolf Hunter, writer, co-creator of a new project, waiting to hear back on edits and art on that, whether or not we're announcing that. Quentin, what are you currently working on? What have you worked on for Silverline before?
I have worked on the Christmas special. I've got 2 stories in there, one for Night Rise and one for Wolf Hunter. And also, I am currently working on the 3rd book of Trumps. I'm getting pretty close to done on it, so I've just actually started getting back into it. I just now have all the layouts done for page 18. And I make board games, card games, and play them.
Naturally.
And I think that's it. I got commissions out the yin yang I got to get to sometime or the other.
Yeah, same.
And I make dioramas and collect figures and comics.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When do you sleep, Quentin?
No lie, I stay up very late.
Yeah. When the anesthesiologist puts them out.
Yeah.
Usually when I go to bed, it's because I drop. I
There
just
you go.
drop.
All right. Jose, how about you?
I did 6-page or inks for a 6-page Kayla story in the Christmas special, and I'm working on inks for obsoletes that
Some
Aaron.
dork Drew,
Something. Yeah, some
Oh, yeah.
dork in here named Aaron.
whatever. I don't know.
Not
Some
moving along as
nerd.
quickly as I want until after my eye surgery, but
Oh yeah, that was a great excuse. Oh, I have cataracts.
I know I keep using it because it's valid.
Yeah.
But I went
Shush.
from my two eyes being like 0% visibility and like 50% visibility to 100% visibility, and now like 80%.
Well, let's
Jose
hope
barging
there's.
into his
Let's
house,
hope
seeing
you
his
turn out
family. Who are
better
you
work
people?
now that you can see.
I know, right? Oh, that's what these lines are for.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, and Aaron, what can people see your work on?
I am working. I did the old Fire Rush comic, which is sad to think we had the third issue going out. I am doing the second issue of Obsoletes. I'm actually taking time out to finish my Goblins, which I have like 13 pages left, and then that whole book will be done. I'm hoping to finish it by next month. And then that'll be a big, thick book of fun. And that way, and then I'm just, and I
Big,
do
thick
have
book of
another
fun.
story in my head, and it's definitely different. So I'll be curious. I'll show you guys when I draw the character. I'll see what you guys think. Have some ideas. Again, I think of very eclectic, weird ideas. So just expect
Perfect.
the weird. And yeah, other than that, then I'll be hopefully by like end of maybe in middle of December, whatever, jumping back on Obsoletes issue 2, drawing that.
Okay.
Some, you know,
Wait,
I
when?
need to
Middle of what?
confirm something too, that I am penciling those, and I'm a pencil inker. I do write, but it's mostly all my own stuff. Like the Wolf Hunter was, of
yeah.
course, Tim's,
Yep.
and the other was Mackenzie Workman, and Trump's is Roland Man, the writer. I am just
Yeah.
a penciler. So go ahead. Sorry, Jose, I broke in on you.
Strangely
No,
enough,
you're good.
does that? I always kind of wonder now. It's like, does the penciler really work if we're doing it digital? I don't know. Like the
No.
term penciler, like because when you go digital, because I know when I go digital, you can almost go just straight to inks. Could you just turn?
Yes, you
Wow.
can. That's why
So
I
it's
do it.
almost kind of like, I wonder if the term pencil is almost like yeah. So I don't know. Just a weird.
As
thought.
many hats as I
I can
wear,
rough it out these
wife,
days.
father,
If I-
brother, all that. And I have a day job. That's all I have time for. If you told me I had to do this traditionally, I can't. There's no way my time would allow it.
And some people call him Maurice.
I would prefer to ink traditionally.
Yeah,
Like, that is my preferential, but
that's what I
inking
like too.
digitally is just really that much faster.
Right on that. Some people call Quentin Maurice. Some people call him the Space Cowboy of Love. We call him our resident penciler. We'll
Yes.
be back next Tuesday for another That Silverline show on Tuesday. Be sure to check out our Wednesday Wham show and Silver Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you next week. Until that time, make
my
mine
Silverline,
Silverline.
Silverline.